let us play this build.
You do not want to play this build.
We do not want to play this build.
This isn't the build you're looking for.
This isn't the build you're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
Hey guys, so while doing my first couple Legion battles, I got a little pride jewel which gives me 20% increased strength in a very good spot. So I wanted to try and stack as much strength as possible while still having semi-viable build. And I'm basically ignoring everything unless it gives strength and only the biggest life nodes. And I managed to reach over 3000 strength at level 86, but my damage is kind of terrible. And I was going to make a pure meme video and just insert a lot of jokes. After all, this was not about the build but just about getting as much strength as I could. But there is an interesting mechanic that I wanted to talk about, and also talk a bit why just getting strength isn't always the best way to scale your damage. Because builds like Brutus Lead Sprinkler or Pillar of the Cage God, while we do get damage from strength, but it's not efficient to just stack the strength. And it would be way more efficient to get around 1.8 thousand strength or 2000 strength and then other stuff like accuracy, crit, AoE, whatever the build is focused around. Even this build, I chose to use Firestorm because, like I said, I'm ignoring basically everything except strength. So I don't have a lot of cast speed, I don't have a lot of mana sustain, I don't really have mitigation despite having over 6k life, and Firestorm doesn't really need increased AoE for a single target. In fact, you want to reduce your AoE for Firestorm to maximize your single target potential. But of course clear speed just becomes shit. And since I don't have a lot of cast speed, I can use Unleash and have actually 2 Unleash setups. So I basically rotate one Unleash then another Unleash. Oh, one thing that could improve this build, I only have 5 link setup and then pseudo 5 link setup. If I improved the helmet and got a 6 link body armor, I would have more damage. But this build would still feel, well, shit. And originally I wanted to play with Blade Vortex. I was planning to go pure Chieftain, but then I would still need to get Dex, I would need to get AoE, and I would have to sacrifice strength, and I just for some reason wanted to get over 3000 strength. So in the end I decided to go with Scion, because with Scion you get more passive points and you can get more strength. And as a Scion Chieftain you still get cover enemies in Ash and 10% increased strength from Chieftain. And for second sub ascendancy I chose Guardian because I don't really have Leech. I do have life gain on hit from spells, so the Guardian also heals me. Elementalist would give me more damage. And I could also have some shocks, which would again give a bit more damage. So again, I know that the build is not efficient, so you don't need to try to help me improve the build. For me it is either 3000 strength or no build at all. In fact, I could even go close to 4000 strength, but I would have to completely ignore everything else and it wouldn't even be a playable build. You know what, let's stop wasting time and get into the numbers. And I'm gonna show you how I got so much strength and why it's not really efficient to get that much strength for builds like Brutus Lead Sprinkler or Pillar of the Cage God. Also show passive skill tree and well, maybe let's start with the passive skill tree. So I got Little Pride Jewel, which gives me 5% increased strength in here, another 5 in here for a total of 13 in here, and then 5 more in here. So combined I am getting 20% increased, and also I'm marked another 38 flat strength because of all the minor ones get +2 and all the smaller ones get +4 strength. By the way, in PUB you cannot add those unique jewels, so I added the custom jewel. The passive skill tree, ignoring almost anything unless it has strength or like big life nodes like that. This one also got Unwavering Stance, using conversion jewels like from Dex into Strength, from Int into Strength, another from Int into Strength, another one here, another one here. This one it does not convert the percentage intelligence, but it's still efficient to take these nodes and you get a lot of strength from this, but you do not convert the percentage intelligence into percentage strength. Then I'm using, where is it? I'm using the bronze jewel, which gives percentage increased strength. It reduces intelligence, so you may have to balance it out a bit. So the most efficient way, it seems to be, is to use the conversion jewels, because conversion jewels, or I guess transformation jewels, already give flat strength, and then you convert the intelligence or dexterity into strength. And in places like this you can get quite a lot. In places like this, especially if you're going through here, you can get a lot of strength conversion, especially in this one. Oh, by the way, this is Scion Chieftain, because you get 40 flat strength, you get passive points, another passive points, and Chieftain gives another 10% increased strength, cover enemies in ash if you're building fire, and then Guardian, just because, well, you get 20 strength, and then you get heal, which I needed because I don't have leech. So now the items. Dune's Mace gives damage per strength, also gives a lot of strength, cast speed, mana, which I needed. The Iron Will, it's not really used in this build, but level 30 Iron Will doesn't give that much more damage compared to level 20 Iron Will, because it just increased damage and not more damage. Iron Will, as you can see, it's... Do I have level 20? 48% increased spell damage. I think the quality... Yeah, the quality gives another 10%, so it would be only 38% increased spell damage at level 20. So level 30 Iron Will doesn't give that much more. Next I got gloves, the typical gloves for strength stacking. Ally weakness on hit is also very nice for this one. I don't need... Oh my god, the sounds. Let's not do that again. Then the helmet, I tried to craft a better helmet, but I tried to get Immolate plus Conk effect, so I could use pseudo 6 link for my second Firestorm, but I couldn't get that, so still decent. I wanted the Firestorm damage helmet enchantment, so it's whatever, but it could be better. The body armor, percentage strength and then flat strength. Managed to roll a good one with open prefix to craft life as well. It's basically strength everywhere you can get, but the main thing is where you can get a lot of strength is belt. You can get percentage increased attributes. This is Elder Base. I paid 1 exalt for this belt, 1 exalt for this shield, and then the other items were not really that expensive, so it's like 3, maybe 4 exalts combined. The amulet as well can get a lot of strength, because you can get a lot of increased attributes. You get implicit attributes, just search for whoever is selling this implicit with strength, and then whatever else you need, if you can afford, I guess. Then try to craft with essences, rings. I bought this one as well with life gain and hit by your spells, strength. Also search for the open suffix, because you can craft, if the item has strength, you can also craft a hybrid strength dex or strength int, like this one. Then the boots, the typical 18% increased strength. They are pretty slow, which makes the build feel even clunkier, which is why it was pretty difficult to endure leveling this build. Actually, I had to do quite a lot of cowards trials to level this build faster. So now let's talk about why it's not really efficient to just stack the strength. I'm gonna... Where's my document? So imagine if you had 3000 strength and no other scaling. Like for this, I don't really have anything else. All of my items don't really have like flare damage or elemental damage of attacks. So imagine if you have 3000 strength and Brutus Lead Sprinkler. With 3000 strength, you would get from 1.2000 to 2.1000 fire damage to attacks with Brutus Lead Sprinkler. It gives from 4 to 7 per 10 strength. So that's how much damage you would get without any other scaling. For Pillar of the Cage God at 3000 strength, you would be getting 4800 increased physical damage with weapons, which does sound a lot. But if you check the base, it has pretty bad base physical damage, so it would only scale up to, well, up to this number. But if you lower your strength by 1000 and keep it at 2000, which is much more reasonable, and get like 7% increased elemental damage with attacks, which is like on 2 items, or flat 15 to 30 flat physical damage, which is also like 2 items or 1 good item, like this ring, you could get, just from the strength, you would have this amount of damage. But if you have 70% increased elemental damage with attacks, you would have this amount of damage. If you compare to that, for Pillar of the Cage God at 2000 strength, you would have 3200 increased physical damage weapon. If you just get one ring like that, or two rings with less damage, you would already out damage. You would reach up to 2409 damage compared to this without any scaling. So it's much more efficient to find a balance between strength and other damage scaling things, like elemental damage with attacks for Brutus Lead Sprinkler, or if you're building crit, you get crit multiplier, or more attack speed, or if you're building Pillar of the Cage God. By the way, Pillar of the Cage God would probably be easier to scale because it's pure phys. So besides, you would also need to get accuracy, and if you're building Brutus Lead Sprinkler, you probably either go with Elemental Overload, which means you cannot take Resolute Technique and you need to invest into accuracy, or you go crit and then you need to invest into accuracy and then crit chance, crit multi. And the Pillar of the Cage God should be much easier to scale because pure phys builds are pretty powerful and you just get a Resolute Technique. You don't need to worry about accuracy, you just get enough attack speed and you're good to go. And then you just get flat physical damage, like this helmet would give quite a lot. Rings like that, then Rage Support Gem, then Herald of Purity, all the typical things that give flat physical damage. And then just use like Pride Aura, all the other shenanigans, Impale. It would be much easier to scale Pillar of the Cage God. Now, the thing that I also wanted to show you, and I actually didn't know that it worked. I thought that it didn't work, then it did work, then I was just confused. So this body armor, there are two like that. One is non-upgraded version and this one is upgraded version. Non-upgraded version is basically the same, but it doesn't give flat strength. This somehow still affects Iron Will and Iron Grip. And it's weird because I tried this 2 times on this build. On the first time it did not increase my damage, but then on the second time I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it again just to be sure, and it turns out that it does increase. So here's the example. So I got 3042. With this body armor I would have less strength, which means technically I should have less damage, because other than strength they do not give damage, right? So my Firestorm in helmet is this one, 6.5 almost 6.6 thousand average damage. If I put this on, look at this, 7.8. I have less strength with this body armor, but I have more damage, which means that this strength damage bonus instead grants 3% increased melee physical damage per 10 strength. Also changes how the strength scales everything else. This body armor increases the effectiveness of your Iron Will and effectiveness of your Iron Grip. If you are using Iron Grip, is for attack projectiles, only for attack projectiles. While Iron Will is not on the passive skill tree, but you can use the gloves, which gives global Iron Will. Now, last thing, passive skill tree I already showed. Just out of curiosity, if you're curious how much more strength you can get, this is 3042. I got another passive skill tree which is basically ignoring everything except strength, and I can get, actually it's a bit over 3.6 thousand strength, just for memes, Actually the Baron Zombie build could utilize this better, but of course you would have less life, but your zombies would benefit more because, well, you wouldn't need attack speed and you wouldn't need other scalings, and you would still get all the scalings for zombies. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I wanted to make this short, but it seems like it's already over 10 minutes. So my next build, it's gonna be dual Vulcanus Spectral Throw Berserker, and I'm pretty excited because I didn't expect that I'll be able to get so much damage out of it, at least in PUB. So I'm very excited to play it and see how that performs, and I just want to leave this build behind. So that's gonna be it. Thank you for watching, and I'll